These are the new spectacles that I exchanged when I sent back the other new ones that were basically feeling like they were drilling holes in the backs of my ears. And I didn't want to walk around with blood dripping down my neck. Oh, that sounds disgusting. Hey BookTube, it's Kim at Middle of the Book March, and I have a discussion video for you today. Now, last week I posted a video talking about how I don't like new releases, and, you know, a little tongue-in-cheek, because I have a small pile of new releases that I'm going to try to read through in December. But my first love and the books that I usually reach for first are backlist books. And very coincidentally, I read an article from Literary Hub, LitHub.com, about, it was dated November 29th, and I will provide the link below, the 23 best, old in parentheses, books we read in 2022. And I read through the article and I looked at the books, and several of these I've read, several of these I have on my long-term TBR. And so I thought, I want to talk to you about the ones that I found on the list that I have in common with LitHub. And it was a great list. I haven't certainly read all of them, and I don't have all of them on my long-term TBR. As said in the title, it's the 23 best old books we read in 2022. So let me show you 4 books that are on the list, are noticed in the article, and then I have 4 books on my long-term TBR that are also on the list that I wanted to show you that may come up next year. None of these are coming up for December, FYI, just so you know. So let me start with the books that I've read. Now, the first one was featured in my very first BookTube video ever. So if you want to go back to 2019, December, it's so embarrassing, but it was my first BookTube video, and I featured Sula by Toni Morrison. I believe I had just finished reading it for the 3rd time, and Sula is, let's see, it was published in 1973, and I absolutely love this book. It's not a Morrison book that a lot of people kind of put on their best of list for Toni Morrison novels, but it's one of mine. And I think this was the second Morrison book I ever read. Beloved was the first. But I absolutely love this book. And it's the story of 2 friends, Sula and Nell, and the strength of friendship, the ways that the bonds of friendship can be broken, reputation, what women had to do to survive in this time, in this area of the country, to Black women. It is a story of Black friendship. It's an extremely good book, super short. I would highly recommend, I mean, it's not even 200 pages. I would highly recommend reading this one if you are interested in getting into Toni Morrison. It's a little milder than Beloved, but it's still an exceptional book, very strong, extremely well written, as are every single one of Toni Morrison's novels. And let's see, what's another one? This one is The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro. Again, another one of my beloved books. I think all of the 4 that I've read that are on this list are 5-star books for me. The Remains of the Day is also a former Booker winner, and this book was published in 1988. It's an exceptional book. This is about an English butler in the English countryside of, I don't know the year. Let me see if I can find out if I look really quickly. Nope. I'd have to look more closely, and I don't know. But this is, Lord Darlington is the owner of the estate that this butler, and I read it so long ago, I just don't really know the names. Let's see. Stevens He is the butler for Lord Darlington, and there's going to be a turnover of the estate and a different employer. And the butler decides he's going to travel, take a little trip, a little road trip, and before the turnover of the estate. And he's basically reflecting on his career as a butler and his life with Darlington. And it's definitely not everything it had seemed. The image is different than the reality. But the ramblings and the travels of this proper English country butler are charming and fascinating and revealing. He talks about what he may have missed out on in his life by having a career as a servant for so many years. He talks about love and romance. He talks about his experiences with his employer and what he thinks about an estate turning over like that and kind of the end of an era type of a thing. Excellent, excellent book. I love Ishiguro's writing, and I actually have several of his books, his backlist books, that I would really love to get to. Another one that I read years ago, and this is a book I have never forgotten. This is a book that can be recommended to so many people for so many different reasons, but this is Joan Didion's The Year of Magical Thinking. This is her account of grief after the very sudden death of her husband and author Dominic Dunn. It's so transparent and honest and raw. I believe they were at home one night and he was sitting in an armchair, and I think it was a quiet night, quiet evening, 2003. He had a massive heart attack and he died. And, they were together for years and years and years, decades. And she, of course, went into shock. And they had a daughter. And she writes about trying to figure out how to tell her daughter and what does she do. And, she does all the normal things. She calls 911 and she tries to see if there's a possibility of reviving him. But it's such a well-conceived story of grief. And it's not fiction, it's nonfiction. It's a memoir of grief. This is one of the best out there. And Joan Didion is a phenomenal writer. She can just put words on a page and create sentences and craft her thoughts in a way that you can feel her grief. You can feel her anger and sadness and desolation after the death of her beloved husband. So, exceptional book. Absolutely loved it. Coincidentally, all four of these books are rather short, so very low on the intimidation factor. The next book is one of my favorite authors since joining BookTube. This book was first published in 1952, and it is Excellent Women by Barbara Pym. This was a buddy read with Ange from Ange's book chatter. And we love this book. Barbara Pym is such a wonderful, homey, charming, interesting, sarcastic writer. Funny, very funny, and just poignant stories. And I loved Excellent Women. This is the story of, what is her name? Mildred. I'm really sorry that I can't just pull the names out of somewhere, some closet in my head. But Mildred is one of those excellent women. Again, in a little English village, she is a spinster or a single woman that never married. She does things, she serves the village, she serves the church. She is one of those very reliable, disciplined friends that you can call on for help with anything. She is proper, but it is so good. So good of a book. The story, the writing, the humor. I just love Barbara Pym's style. And she wrote about what her experiences were in life. And of course, added craft to it, added nuance, added just the funniness. And such a great book. And her other book that I absolutely loved is Quartet in Autumn. Even more strongly than Excellent Women. So, those are the 4 books from the LitHub list that I have read and loved. The next 4 are on my long-term TBR. And the reason I wanted to show you these was I'm really excited that they're on the list because these are all books I'm really, really really, okay, wicked excited about. That's a New England term, a New England adjective. The first one is Miriam Toews' All My Puny Sorrows. And this, I didn't know about Miriam Toews until BookTube, and I've only been on BookTube for 3 years. So this particular book is a story of two sisters, Elf and Yoli. Elf is a renowned pianist, glamorous, wealthy, and happily married. She wants to die. And Yoli is her sister, divorced, broke, and sleeping with the wrong man, who kind of takes on her sister as a project and wants to understand her, wants to keep her alive. I loved Women Talking by Miriam Toews. And after I read Women Talking, I realized I had already had one or two of her other books. And I bought this one and another one. And I'm really looking forward to this. I am pretty sure that I will get to this book by next year. And yeah, it sounds so good. And I've seen so many people on BookTube read it and love it. The next one is Future Home of the Living God by Louise Erdrich. This one is a former library book. It's got the cover. It's super shiny. Louise Erdrich is beloved on BookTube, and I've read a few of her books as well. Love her writing, love her style. I love what she does with language and story. And this one, I believe, is Erdrich's attempt or her submission into the dystopian genre. Evolution stops as mysteriously as it began. Pregnancy and childbearing quickly become issues of state security. 26-year-old Cedar, the adopted daughter of idealistic Minneapolis liberals, is as disturbed and uncertain as the rest of America. But for Cedar, this change is profound and deeply personal. She is 4 months pregnant. So it's kind of going to be Erdrich's typical novel with cause and with purpose, with personal story, and she's just a great writer. And she's an author that I've got, not all of her books, but she's got a very big back catalog, and I have several of her other novels, few of which I have read. The next one is the Sea Trilogy, and this list, this is Rachel Carson's, and this is my copy, my Library of America copy of the Sea Trilogy, which includes Under the Sea Wind, The Sea Around Us, and The Edge of the Sea. And let me get to the part in the article that talks about, it doesn't name the whole trilogy, but let me get to that point of which one it does mention. And I have to say, I showed you Miriam Toews' All My Puny Sorrows. The book that's actually on the list is not that one. It is Irma Voth by Miriam Toews. And that's one of the only ones I didn't have on my shelf, so that's why I showed you All My Puny Sorrows. And let me see, I can't get to it. Here we go. Under the Sea Wind, and that's the first in this particular trilogy. Rachel Carson, I keep saying Carlson. Rachel Carson, if you don't know, is a naturalist and author. This particular book, I will find you the publication date, was, let's see, Under the Sea Wind was originally copyrighted in 1941. She also wrote, if you don't know, famously Silent Spring. And she is a favorite of Heidi from My Reading Life, and I believe Britta from Britta Bowler. I will link their channels below. But I absolutely love this edition of Library of America. And it's got pictures in it. I don't even want to say I would save this for Nonfiction November because I don't want to push it out that long. But yeah, I'll get to that next year as well. The last book I want to show you also is not on the list, but a newer novel from this author is on the list. And this is yet another plug and a reminder for the Blind Eye Book Club. This is Ruth Ozeki, A Tale for the Time Being. And this is going to be the first book that we're going to read in January for my Blind Eye Book Club. And the book that is actually on the list is her newest, The Book of Form and Emptiness, which I also have. But I wanted to show you this one because of the book club and because of another plug. I will have more information probably the middle of December, towards the last week of December. We will be starting on January 1st. I do believe I'm going to use Voxer for the book club. I went and looked at Discord. I had a lot of people suggest Discord. I am old school in a lot of ways, and I just couldn't navigate Discord the way I can with Voxer. Voxer is quite a bit more simplistic than Discord, but I will use Voxer. At first, I think I will set up a group for each book, so people who are in and out and will pick and choose which books they want to read, they won't be involved in a super wicked long chain of conversation that they're not interested in. But we will be reading this one starting on January 1st. Also, towards the end of December, I will have a list of the first 3 books that we'll be reading next year for the Blind Eye Book Club. And let me know if you want to take part. I will set up a Voxer group, and I will let everybody know once that's done so that you can let me know you want to be added to it, and I will do that. So these are a bunch of really great backlist books, old new books, or new old books that LitHub thought were really valuable to mention, and I did too. I thought it was very coincidental that I had posted that video, and then I don't even know why I found this article. I think it was a link from a news screen that I was reading, and I thought, this is awesome, I have to talk about this. So let me know in the comments below if you've read any of the 4 books I read, if you're interested in any of the 4 books that I haven't read yet, especially A Tale for the Time Being and the Blind Eye Book Club. I will also link the video for that down below, so you'll have that information. And yeah, write me a comment down below, let me know what you think, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.